this, Elon, he couldn't raise money. So he said, listen, who would like to put $1,000 deposit on a car? And the next thing you know, he had $28 million of someone else's money. That's called get the money.
So when you think about go-to-market, what's the first place that you start at?
So I don't call it go-to-market. I call it get the money. And there's a big difference there. You're laughing, right?
I like it.
We call
I like
the GTM firm to let people sort of know what that means, but it's about getting the money. And for far too often, everybody thinks, well, for me to get the money, I've got to go through these mechanics and I got to find my ICP and I got to get this message right. And I got to turn the crank on this wheel and I got to hope that these things work. And there's too many things that must be true. And so I've got a process where we truly look at how we get the money and we look at it from a zoom out perspective. And how we were so successful repeatedly is we sort of dismantle and don't look at the industry. And we go, if I were to dissect to rebuild, what would it look like? Because far too often everybody goes, I'm going to make this change. I'm going to jump slipstream. And you probably remember, because you're older, Sandeep's not, the EDS commercial where they were changing the plane while they were flying it to show that this is what they were trying to transform. And that was a big, when we went from mainframes to client server, and it was a big push, to be honest.
It was.
And so when you think through that, too many companies are parochial. Too many of them go to those conferences where I met you and we see how you make cookies. Look, if everybody makes cookies the same way, there's no way you're going to have a skyrocket cookie, right? I mean, I would argue, speaking of skyrockets, look at what SpaceX, they don't go to market like any other company has. And so if you look at even people like Reed Hastings, no rules. It's the ones that don't look at what people are doing that win.
That's interesting. So they invent clever ways. I thought you were going to go into the whole thing about knobs, dials, and levers.
Oh, we could definitely go into that. But think about this. Elon, he couldn't raise money. So he said, listen, who would like to put $1,000 deposit on a car? And the next thing you know, he had $28 million of someone else's money. That's called get the money.
That's
Think
get the
about
money.
that.
He basically crowdfunded.
Yeah.
He
No
kickstarted
better
it.
way to prove that whether you have product market viability than to have non-refundable deposits.
100%.
Right.